Hey guys, welcome to Melanie United. And on this video, we're going to talk about how Mali said they're not going to be respecting the sanctions imposed on Guinea by the ECOWAS. And the ECOWAS is the Economic Community of West African States. So Guinea had a coup about last year, and I don't know totally who was behind it, if it was the people or was it the Europeans, the French, because Guinea is one of those countries that they fund these so-called terrorists. They fund these, citizens in Guinea to destabilize the country, so the Europeans, especially the French that control those areas, can come and steal the resources. And we like we talked about in the other countries in the Sahel region, like Mali, which all the Europeans are mad at Mali right now, but Mali and Burkina Faso, which had a coup a couple of days ago. I gotta talk about that soon, but yeah, those West African countries in the Sahel region that the French pay and fund and train and tell these military rebels, these terrorists that they fund to destabilize these countries. And Guinea had a coup last year. I don't know if it was the citizens or was it the Europeans behind them fully so. And usually, whenever a coup happens, whenever they do it or a coup just happens, then they want a puppet president to become in charge really quick. And for example, when Mali said that they're not gonna have a president until a few years, the Europeans got so mad, and the French and the Europeans control ECOWAS, those other West African countries like Ghana and them. They control them and tell them to sanction whichever countries in those regions that work with Russia to to stabilize their country and get rid of these terrorists, right? That the Europeans fund. So yeah, these Europeans, they control ECOWAS, and whenever one of these countries are not listening to France or want to get away from France and work with Russia, then they sanction them. Isn't it ironic? They do exactly what the Europeans do. Russia, America, Europe, they're all sanctioning Russia right now. America, Europe, they sanction Zimbabwe, right? And look at how ECOWAS always sanctions those countries that don't want to work with France anymore, or the Europeans, because that's their slave masters. That's who's funding them. That's who's telling them what to do. That's whose agenda they're working for. So when Guinea was saying they're gonna have a formal government, formal president in 3 years. ECOWAS said no, in 6 months. You need to have it in 6 months, and those orders were coming from the Europeans, the French that control those regions. They want a puppet there so bad in 6 months so they can keep stealing, because Guinea produces bauxite, produces the most, exports the most bauxites in the world out of any country. And bauxite is used for aluminum and those chemical industries around the world, right? So Guinea's a very important region for them, and the French and the Europeans don't want to let go of that. So that's why that's why ECOWAS sanctioned Guinea, because they got told what to do. They said those Europeans told them to sanction Guinea, just so Guinea will suffer. The citizens are suffer so they can get a fake puppet president, just so these Europeans could keep stealing these bauxites. And they're very nervous and scared and angry that Russia's working with Guinea, because as you've seen, Russia work with Mali and some of these other countries like Central African Republic, and then the terror situations got a lot better, and the citizens wanted Russia there instead of France. So that's what they don't want to happen in Guinea. And then they told ECOWAS to sanction them, which they did. And guess what? Mali just united with Guinea because Mali's not respecting the ECOWAS sanctions. ECOWAS already sanctioned Mali like last year. They sanctioned Mali for a while, but then they dropped it. Some of those presidents, some of those governments still have the sanctions on Mali. But just because Mali does not want to work with France no more, Mali doesn't want to listen to France no more, Mali's working with Russia and all that. So that's why ECOWAS sanctioned them. But Mali could care less. Mali and France are going at it. Mali's the only one that's really talking back and putting France in their place. They're talking in the United Nations how France is interfering and spying and espionage on the countries. Like I did the video on it last time. And they're tired of France, so they don't care about those sanctions that France is telling ECOWAS to do on these countries and stuff. And now they dropped the sanctions on Mali, so now they're trying to pull that stuff on Guinea. And the good thing is Mali is uniting with Guinea and doesn't care about the sanctions. They're still gonna trade with Guinea, and that's what we need to do. That's what all these countries should have been doing in Zimbabwe when they sanctioned Zimbabwe. And it's good that we're all saying, lift those sanctions on Zimbabwe. We should have been saying that like how many years ago? So yeah, that's what we have to do, because these people, they love sanctions, because it's really the Europeans that are sanctioned Mali, but now are sanctioning Guinea, you know? So they love sanctions, but their sanctions are not effective when we work together and don't have respect for their sanction. Doesn't matter, because we have all these resources. We can work together. We don't need them. So respect to what Mali's doing, and Mali's one of the countries that's fighting the Europeans head on, and we need Mali to keep doing that, and we need more to join in. So that's good news. And yeah, thanks for listening, guys. Like, comment, subscribe.